Aloha, y'all. It is Thursday, Thor's Day, hence the name, named after Thor, like Loki and Thor. Thor's Day, the 7th, I believe, but I don't have the date in front of me, so don't quote me on that. And I didn't look right before I got on. Oh, no, I wrote it down. Haha, yes, the 7th. See, absent-mindedness has its own remedies. So, the 7th it is of April. Did I just say May? See, it's not always perfect. April 17th. Thor's Day. So, the sun is at 17 degrees, 39 minutes Aries. Moon is at 28 degrees Gemini. Mercury is at 22 degrees, 34 minutes Aries. Venus is at 2 degrees Pisces. Mars is at 24 degrees Aquarius. Conjunct Saturn still, which we'll get to. Jupiter's at 22 degrees, 48 minutes Pisces. Saturn's at 22 degrees Aquarius. Uranus is at 13 degrees Taurus. Neptune's at 23 degrees Pisces. Pluto's at 28 degrees Capricorn, and the North Node is at 22 degrees Taurus. I'm all over the place. I don't even know if I wrote that down right, but I'm glad I got the date right, eventually the month right. Holy tits. It's an Anahata Chakra Day, Heart Chakra Day, so as long as you're coming at it with your heart, like the dude from The Big Lebowski, he's very heartfelt. Yeah, but you're an asshole. Was I wrong? Or I forget all the quotes, but The Big Lebowski is one of the best quote movies ever. Anyway, he's a hearted person. What day is it? That's how I feel. What day is this? All right, so Anahata Chakra, Heart Chakra. It's in the middle of your chest. The keywords are balance, love, and self-control. Positive aspects include compassion, generosity, harmony, balance, and loving kindness. Negative aspects are indifference, jealousy, miserliness, or bitterness. Mantra is Yam, Y-A-M, Yam, and you do that in the key of F. Spiritual activities are include learning to love yourself first, praying, healing, and singing. Essential oils are rose, carnation, lily of the valley. The plants are foxglove, rose, carnation, and lily. Metal is copper and gold. The element is air. I had said the musical note is F. Crystals are rose quartz, diamond, and peridot. And the soul lesson is brotherhood and love. So even when you make mistakes on the date or the order of the planets or whatever might be the issue, the pronunciation of different things, you gotta love yourself. You gotta smile and laugh with it. So let's go ahead and get a card, or many cards rather, for the day. Hopefully you guys are checking out the Team Rabbit Hole podcast. We had Michael Sockowitz, formerly known as Thomas Sockowitz, who's been on the podcast a few times on again. And we got into some interesting heady turf. Do check it out. Episode 277 was that. So we're trucking through them. And today's card is the Ace of Pentacles. All right. So, Ace of Pentacles. With the North Node in Taurus, this is very apropos. So aces are the beginning of something, the very first moment of a suit. Pentacles, if you're a Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn, this is naturally your suit. I gotta find it. And then, like I said, aces is the beginning. So, this is planting the seeds of something wonderful. You have what you need to get it done. Surrender to the cause. Ace of Pentacles, I carefully tend the seeds of success. In the Starman Tarot, which is this deck, and the creator's been on the podcast a few times. Shout out David DeAngelis. In the Starman Tarot, the Ace of Pentacles is about the remarkable potency of life. Moreover, it explores the breakdown of elements to become the nutritious soil out of which new growth and fertility arise. And ironically, that's what Thomas was saying, or Michael now, was saying about his name and kind of his identity. He had a podcast, he's got rid of it, he's starting a whole new thing. The soil of his old identity is now causing the growth for the new one. So interesting that that's coming up already. Syncs up with yesterday's podcast. The raw components of your life, especially the painful and difficult times, South Node in Scorpio, Become the compost of fecund soil out of which a stronger, more resilient, and alive you can be created, right? We're re-engineering ourselves. Mars conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. When you excavate the past for negatively charged stories, Uranus and Taurus, and reframe them so a positive spark can be released, Gemini Moon, last degrees, have some fun with it. The catalyst of learning, Gemini Moon, and renewed potential is born. We revisit the story and break it open to entertain another possibility or viewpoint, which can then seed itself and grow your being. So Venus in Pisces now, we can dream a new dream. You don't have to be stuck in the old world. Pluto and Capricorn's kind of the reaper's harvesting scythe, going through that whole situation, and we basically are starting a new life, starting a new world. This is true every moment, every day, so it's not, radically new, but we are in strange times, as you might have noticed if you look around, whether it's geopolitical, religious, economic, materialism is kind of shifting and buckling, because basically materialism is in its last degrees of reality. People are going to start becoming spiritual en masse in a very particular way in this new age. What up, Suze? My intention for this card was to express the wonder we have and the incredible potential to grow and become someone else. Changing your name from Thomas to Michael Suckowitz, right? Things occur in our lives to catalyze a whole paradigm shift, symbolized by the cat and its 9 lives. The artwork expresses the utter wonder of growth, Gemini Moon, where the seed must appear to destroy itself, Pluto and Capricorn. Tear itself open in order to sprout a tender new shoot, Venus in Pisces, North Node in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus. The woman represents the surrendered self that must appear to be destroyed, Neptune conjunct Jupiter, submission in Pisces. Broken open in order to flourish. The books in the soil signify knowledge must also undergo the same process. For example, science must take what is once true, investigate it, take it apart, and regrow it into a more advanced and complete answer or a new hypothesis, Uranus in Taurus. In the Ace of Pentacles, the impossible project is seeded. The most incredible venture you can imagine can be nurtured. All astonishing accomplishments come from humble beginnings, energy, and resources that are consistently gathered and attended to. This is an amazing card for connecting creativity with abundance, expanding the human mind to the cosmic mind through the use of medicine vines. This magical plant realm was seeded 470 million years ago, far more ancient than humans or animals. Does it serve us or do we serve it? Just as the seed of life, this planet is birthed from stars, and so the Starman Tarot was seeded by my work with David Bowie. The buried books contain my notes from when I worked with him on the Earthling project. The idea is broken down into the soil from which this new form has grown. In turn, this, too, will become the soil for something else to come into being. This is the song that never ends. But it does have starting points, right? The tree releases seeds in its fruit. The fruit breaks open, rots or whatever, and the seed of that fruit goes into the soil and becomes a new tree. It's this eternal recurrence. It's a perennial situation, right? Ace of Pentacles, though, is the card of the day. Planting the seeds of something wonderful, very Venus and Pisces, bring the water of beauty to the soil and the seed of the new idea. Moon and Gemini, North Node and Taurus, and really kind of bring the heat of the sun to it. Aries, it's not the sun ruled, but Aries, sun conjunct Mercury is like bring light and energy to this as well. It takes all the elements to create life, not just one. You need the soil, you need the light, you need the water, you need the oxygen. Plant the seeds of something wonderful. You have what you need to get it done, surrendering to the cause. So don't feel like you're lacking. Sometimes, especially with Sun in Aries, Aries season in general, we feel this very antsy, I got to get it done, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, energy. And we don't have to succumb to that. Like, you can't force the oak tree to be fully grown overnight. And with Lilith in the last degrees of, I think it's the last degree officially now, of Gemini, our mind is saying, I don't know if I can get this done. I don't know if I have what it takes. Will this ever come about? Is this going to rot in the soil? Are the birds going to eat the seed? And it's like, you have what you need to get it done. Stop doubting that. The clarifier is the Queen of Swords. Use your head, Gemini Moon, right? So you're going to need to revolutionize how you're thinking about what you're planting. Uranus and Taurus, North Node and Taurus. You can't just be like, well, it'll all come together. The shadow of Venus and Pisces, Neptune conjunct Jupiter and Pisces is like, what will be, and I can't do much about it. And it's like, well, if you plant this seed, just like Jesus says, if you plant the seed in good soil, it has a very different outcome than if you plant it in rocky, shitty soil, and if you, where it might just get fucked up, or if the birds come and eat it, or whatever. So we need to be using our heads, Queen of Swords, and I'll read about what that is about as a clarifier, on our new projects. We have what we need, but we also have to be discerning and mentally with it, Moon and Gemini, and conquer our fears, Lilith and Gemini, mental fears about, can this even happen? It's like, yes, it can. You have everything you need to make it work, but you're going to have to make it work, right? And do the work. So, I mean, look, she's like a kick-ass warrior, right? Standing on the skull of her enemy, very Thor's Day style, right? Thor, but she had to like learn how to use that sword. She didn't just pop out of the womb wielding it like, a ninja or whatever, samurai. So the Queen of Swords, I serve a noble cause, and this was saying, submit to the cause, right? Do the work for the cause. So the cause is the work in the world, material, things in the world, your job, your body, your health, your mental health, right? Your finances, the passion projects, things in the world, actually physically, are your cause that your mind is going to be working towards. I serve a noble cause. This is the watery, the emotional part of air, mind. It says, use the power of nature to enhance your lifestyle. The power of nature, the seed. A brilliant mind, Gemini Moon. Penetrating intelligence and serving a noble cause. This is well articulated and outspoken, a wise guide. So, as the clarifier, God, this dog. As a clarifier, we need to be using our heads and asking for guidance and wisdom as we tend our garden. We have new projects. We have a lot of, especially with Venus now popping into Pisces, we're like, all right, I'm ready to dream again. And how can I make my dreams realities? Right? North Node and Taurus. We're going to have to use our heads, Gemini Moon, and radically alter kind of maybe our material reality, Uranus and Taurus, avoiding the fear and the past failures, past mistakes, what ifs, oh my God, this could go wrong. It's one thing to be discerning, it's another thing to be a worry wart, South Node and Scorpio. So we want to be like moving forward well mentally, ultimately planting the seed of the new project, knowing that all things that are, in a sense, what's meant to be will be. I mean, in a weird Piscean way, you can kick back and let it go, but God helps those who help themselves. Paradox, right? So you're going to have to tend to this. If it's going to make it, it's going to make it. If it's not, it's not. There's not a whole lot you can do ultimately at some levels, right? Like if an asteroid hits this field, it's like, well, it didn't matter if you planted it very well. So there's divine order within the levels here, but we have to be stewards, right? That's the whole point of Adam and Eve. It's like, hey, go, I mean, it's a story, but it's like, go name all the animals. That's what you can do in this world. You can use your head and articulate a language point and taxonomize the world, right? Basically. So we have projects we want to get started and we can do it, but we're going to have to use our heads. And ultimately, our heads what? Combined with our hearts, Anahata Chakra. Because if it's just your head, you're going to sit there and worry. And you're going to go, oh, I can't do this. I don't have confidence. Or I'm so confident. And then it doesn't work out the way you expected and all this kind of stuff. So you're going to want to tend that which has been given to you dutifully, steadily, honorably, creatively, humbly, and Anahata Chakra with heart. Or else why are you doing it at all? If it has no heart, there's no reason to do it. So we got the loyalty, the red-crowned crane as the animal. And like I'm saying, you're going to have to tend your garden with what? Loyalty, diligence of mind. You're starting new stuff in the world. Well, I mean, I'm doing a new workout routine and keeping my diet pretty good and wondering where I'm going to live and what am I going to do and even, contemplating going back to school and all this kind of stuff. I'm always contemplating going back to school because I'm a Gemini who didn't get my degree, dropout of a few colleges. So I'm always like, oh, should I keep educating myself? But every time I talk to some intuitive and stuff, they're like, you're doing fine. You've got to start your own thing and not go like repeat the past. So it's like, okay, what does that mean? Not get a degree. It would help my economic status, but at the same time, it's running through the hamster wheel at a level. So the red-crowned crane, loyalty. The whole point of me ranting on there is like, you have to be loyal to that which you tend. You can't just throw seeds. It's not a very good gardener that just throws seeds in hopes it works. You have to like create rows, make sure they get watered, make sure there's direct sunlight, make sure the animals have, there's fencing so the animals, wild animals don't eat the fruit. But we're going to have to be loyal, North Node of Taurus, and steady as she goes with our dreams, Venus now in Pisces, Neptune conjunct Jupiter in Pisces, in order for them to manifest well, North Node in Taurus. Ultimately, being discerning, Gemini Moon, with the Queen of Swords, from our heart. From our heart. If it's not got heart, I mean, that's what makes you loyal. It's not just you think, you see movies all the time where it's like the bad guy has like, you know, a bunch of rogue people in his thing, and the only keeping them together is fear, basically, or the desire for competition. It's like one day he'll get out and I'll be the captain of the ship or whatever. That's not the kind of loyalty we're talking about. We're talking about loyalty of like, you know, King Arthur or something, where it's like, I will die with you in the trenches and I love you, and whether we get out of this or not, I thank you, kind of loyalty. The time has come to re-examine your loyalties. Are you able to be trusted? Keep your word if you give it. Take relationships slowly, right? Ace of Pentacles. Plant it and let it grow. Give it space to go. Take relationships slowly and make sure to build strong connections. What promises have you made and must keep? Mythos. From the ancient Japanese story Tsuru no Ongaeshi. This is from that story. On a very cold, snowy day in winter, an elderly man was going to town. He had firewood to sell and was walking slowly with a large load upon his back. Very Mars conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. I'm going to town where the people live, Aquarius. I'm making the journey and it's difficult and I'm old. Saturn in conjunct Mars. As he walked, he found a crane that was caught in a hunter's trap. He felt he had to help the beautiful bird and released it from the trap. He was a steward of his environment, North Node and Taurus. He helped it out, beautified it. That night there was a blizzard and the old man and his wife were settled in with a meager meal and a small fire when there was a knock at the door. There stood a beautiful girl dressed in white. I am sorry, dear father, to disturb you, but I'm an orphan traveling through this area to meet new relatives and I'm lost. Would you mind if I took shelter from this storm? She said. The elderly couple accepted her into their home and allowed her to stay the night, sharing what little they had. The next morning the snow had not let up, so the girl stayed in the house in return for their hospitality, cleaning the house and looking after the old couple. She cooked, she cut wood, she sang them songs, right? She was using her mind and her like repertoire, I guess, well enough from a place of heart, Anahata Chakra. He had done a good deed to this crane, which we'll get into. It's, you know, is this her? And now she's like, let me do you a solid. And she's doing simple kind of tending, like day-to-day practical realities. Ace of Pentacles is the card. So she cooked, she cut, and she sang them songs. One day, as she was in the kitchen cooking, the girl asked whether she could stay with them as their daughter rather than go off to the relatives she had never met. Very Uranus and Taurus is like, you know what, change of plans by world, radical shift. The couple readily agreed and were very happy to have such a daughter. Upon their acceptance, the girl asked if they would buy her some yarn as she wanted to weave some cloth for them. They bought the yarn, and as they handed it to her, the young girl said in a serious way, I will be working on this cloth for a few days, but I should not be disturbed. Mars conjunct Saturn. I'm doing work, do not disturb me. Promise me you will not come into the room when I weave. They promised, and the girl worked in the room for 3 days without coming out. When the door opened again, she showed the couple the most wondrous fabric the couple had ever seen. Gemini Moon. Oh my gosh, this is so mind-blowing. We've never seen anything this novel and this interesting and this well done, North Node and Taurus. And she individually did it. Her mind, her spirit, Aries Sun conjunct Mercury. She did this as an individual through hard work and, you know, action. Please sell it in the village, she requested. It will get a good price for us. And so it did. With the money they got from the cloth, the couple were able to buy more yarns with more colors, and their daughter again wove a truly magical cloth made with much care, North Node and Taurus. This went on for a short time with the couple becoming quite well off. So a good deed, right, was the seed. You know, he saw some crane when he was working his butt off, and he's like, you know what, I got an idea. Maybe it wasn't like shrewdness, but it was like mental idea, kind of Queen of Swords, Gemini Moon. It was like, I got an idea. I wouldn't want to be caught up in that shit, so I'm going to release this crane. The crane turns out to be the girl, basically. She's like, hey, I'll help you out with the little things, and then she kind of upgrades to another level. I'll help you out with creating this one, you know, the seed of your new business, basically, and it does well, and she continues to do that. That is pretty radical shifting of mental perspectives. They went from poverty and hard work to kind of living well because what? They tended the seed carefully. They were kind. They showed loving kindness to this girl. If they'd been like, no, fuck off, we don't know you, stranger, she wouldn't have been loyal and they wouldn't have become well off, right? So you get what you give. You gotta be aware of that. The animal, the red-crowned crane. Hold on, there's a loud tractor. I can't concentrate, so I doubt you can hear me. All right, so the animal, the red-crowned crane is a very rare and elegant bird of East Asia. It is migratory and is found in Japan, Korea, Russia, Mongolia, and China. The red patch on its head appears during mating season. Red is, very synonymous with Aries, sun. The red-crowned crane is almost a mythological bird to the Japanese, such as its sacredness, and it is widely and formally depicted in art and especially paintings and ink drawings. Once a mate is found, the pair bonds through graceful dances and haunting fluting calls, and these highly ritualized movements continue to strengthen the connection as life goes on. Once the mating ritual has begun, the seed is planted and they keep going as if a partnership forever. Once hatched, babies are looked after by the parents for over 9 months. That is some loyalty, right? That's a long time. They are one of the world's longest living birds, North Node in Taurus. A healthy adult in the wild could live for 30 to 40 years, with those in captivity regularly living over 50 years. The oldest cranes have lived 70 years. That's as old as a human. Cranes are referred to as tanchozuru in Japanese and are said to live for 1,000 years and lovingly mate for life, thus making them a profound symbol of fidelity, loyalty, and longevity, right? So once the seed of love is planted, the seed of the heart is planted in these birds, they are strong-minded to keep that bond together. The magic, which is why we are here. Crane magic is about loyalty and steadfastness. In this world of instant gratification and short attention spans, which can be the shadow of Gemini Moon or Uranus and Taurus, where it's like everything's changing so quickly and values shift. One day Pogs are in and one day they're out. One day Barbie dolls are the thing and now they're out, or whatever. Perhaps the idea of loyalty is beginning to be a lost ideal. And idealism very much is like Neptune conjunct Jupiter, Venus and Pisces stuffs. The graceful crane teaches us that remaining steadfast to those who deserve it is a positive ideal and something to treasure. Thinking carefully about our promises and keeping our word means that we become people to be trusted by others and ourselves, right? So when you start something, Ace of Pentacles, which is the card of the day, right? When you start something with your heart chakra, when you start something, use your best wits about you, Queen of Swords is the clarifier, to keep that thing going. Don't just start a fire and let it disappear. One of the issues with Aries, Sun conjunct Mercury, is that you're going to get flashes of insight, and we have to have the tenacity and loyalty to pursue those visions or dreams or hopes or desires well enough to see them through, right? You don't just have a baby and throw it on the side of the street and then just say, hopefully this works out. You kind of raise the child as they should go, or whatever. So, symbology, the color red, dancing, feathers, weaving. Status is endangered mainly due to habitat destruction. So, because we cannot use our heads sometimes, because sometimes we're not using our heads properly, parts of nature haven't been tended to that well, and they're becoming extinct because of that. So if we show a little more loving kindness towards our environment and our animal friends, maybe they stand a chance. In some grander scheme of things, it is what it is. But to that which degree we have some influence, let's try to be stewards of environments. I think that's the wisest and most loving thing to do. Just like in that story, he helped the crane out. He didn't just say, oh, dinner. That would have been instant gratification, right? But he ended up becoming rich and wealthy with the yarn from this girl turned crane turned daughter, or crane turned girl turned daughter, because he was kind and loyal. She was loyal to them. So we have number 51 on the hexagram front. The I Ching is an old ancient divination system. It's actually 64 codons in your DNA, as well as 64 creates how we have binary. So binary computing is based off of the number 64. So this is very much ingrained in our reality at multiple levels. It says excitement / tremor, and that is some Aries conjunct Mercury Sun stuffs, Uranus and Taurus stuffs. The bottled up tension eases and a tremendous energy is released. Hopefully, we're loyal to ourselves and our minds and our hearts, heart chakra, our minds, Queen of Swords during shifts, and we know how to tend during these shifts the next cycle, the next generation. This experience is a shock, and it gives rise to fear. Lilith at the last degrees of Gemini, fears in the mind of things turning out well, and South Node of Scorpio, fear and oh my God, do I have to kill and hoard to and stay hidden in order to survive? It gives rise to fear as life can change with a single stroke. The disturbance to the usual and familiar has, however, a markedly productive effect, kind of like when the guy lets in a crane turned girl, and it's a remarkable shift in their reality to have someone living with them and helping them out and creating yarn that makes them rich. So it's a markedly productive effect, right? So when you, like one day there's no plant, and then there is a plant, and all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, like, I mean, especially in Costa Rica, it's like, you know, you go down and take the machete and chop some things down, and then a week or two later, it's like, it's back. How is this banana? Especially banana trees. You'd never think this, but banana trees are fucking robust. You chop them down and throw them out, and they're growing in the pile where you threw them. It's nuts. But very robust energy here. Ace of Pentacles. With things beginning to move, they become changeable in the positive sense. Moon and Gemini. This is also true when the experience of reaching the turning point is painful. You can later react in a more relaxed manner to the vicissitudes of life. Your faith in your own abilities grows. In feeling the power of destiny over your own life, you experience the greatness and honor of cosmic order as well. Out of this grows humility, and from humility grows wisdom. Right? Growing. Out of one grows the other. And there is a cosmic order, so never doubt that. Conditions in the as below might not always look like there's an as above dealing with it, but there is. And we have to be loyal to that kind of concept, you know? The moon creates tides. We're not just on the ocean being like, well, one day the water's up and the next day the water's down, and we don't know why it's going on, or, you know, there's a higher order of things. And we have to use our heads, Gemini Moon, to understand that, and then ultimately commit North Node and Taurus to actions in the world that are tending gardens beautifully, right? Ace of Pentacles. And maybe all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, you know what? I've been a clerk at a store for 40 years, and I've got a, you know, whatever, retirement pension coming or whatever, but I really want to be a dancer. Maybe it's this crazy radical shift. Plant these seeds. And I'm not saying you have to go on the most, you know, artistic things, but with Venus and Pisces, Neptune conjunct Jupiter and Pisces, your dream should have heart. If you're in a job, you have to ask yourself, I mean, it's a balancing point. Does the job and career and income and reality that you have in this world, is it sustaining your heart, or are you just going through the motions to stay on the wheel to make it happen because you're not trusting yourself? There's a lesson to be learned on both sides of that continental divide. On the one hand, follow your dreams, but they might not turn out well, so you have to be practical and save and have jobs, and, you know, the starving artist doesn't have to stay starving, they can get a job. But at the same time, the person who's just kind of doing Fight Club or Office Space style, where it's like, I hate this job and I don't like these people and I'm just doing this to make it work, start something new, and you know, radically shift, transform and change your situation while staying loyal to yourself, your dreams, your mind, your heart, and ultimately you'll get the lessons you need. Whether they're positive or negative kind of depends on your karma, depends on a lot of things. Holler for a reading if you kind of want to get cards in a situation like that, or look at your chart to see how your design is in this reality tunnel called life. So the stone we have is Topaz. You can quantumly entangle with this, as that is the nature of being. You don't have to own this. But I think I just got bit by a mosquito. That's funny. Because it's like, that didn't itch a second ago, and now it does. Maybe a spider, rather. But anyway, Topaz. What it is, Topaz is the world's hardest silicon-based mineral. Its name alludes to the Sanskrit word for fire. In the Middle Ages, it was believed to cure crazy. So Neptune conjunct Jupiter in Pisces, we can be feeling a little out of our heads right now. With the Moon in Gemini too, we can be like, who needs it? Anyone, A, burning the midnight oil, so you're working really hard. B, the candle at both ends, you're working really hard on lots of things, not getting much sleep. C, bridges, very Aries Sun, Mercury conjunct, where you're like, I'm fighting people and causing issues. That's the shadow of, you know, the Queen of Swords, where you're like, off with their heads. They're not my friends anymore. Or D, all of the above. Where to put it, wherever the action needs to happen. Aries conjunct Sun in, Aries Sun conjunct Mercury in Aries, like I'm saying. There's things that need to happen. You know, there's a time to plant seeds. And you know, to sleep on that is not being loyal to the cause. It's not using your head. It's not being responsive to the changes all around you. So we need to kind of get going where we need to get going. When to use it? When you're aiming in the right direction, but keep misfiring. Passion is totally indispensable, right? That's the heart. Passion is totally indispensable. You got to have it. You got to be like, oh, I really actually like gardening and I want to eat healthy food. Or, oh my gosh, I really like Japanese. I'm learning Japanese. I'm attracted to the culture and the language and a lot of things about it. So I'm willing to learn it. It's not the easiest language. You got to learn 3 whole new alphabets, hiragana, katakana, and kanji, before you could even understand what the fuck's going on, let alone like Spanish is like Roman based. So it's like, well, it's English lettering, essentially. But it's saying passion is totally indispensable, but if you're not careful with it, if you're not loyal, it might burn you up, right? So be discerning, use your head, Queen of Swords. Call on Topaz to transform wild obsessions, right? Just kind of crazy flights of fancy, Neptune conjunct Jupiter and Pisces, Venus and Pisces, things that you're just like, well, I want to be a dancer. It's like, that's a wild, maybe obsession and passion. How do you take that passion and hone it, right? When you want to take these obsessions into laser-like focus, Mars conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, laser-like focus, you can't even make that up, and burning desires into getting things done. So all that Aries energy, Aries conjunct Sun conjunct Mars, or Aries Sun conjunct Mercury, God, I can't speak. It's one thing to be like, I want to have a farm. It's another thing to get out there and till the field and then reap your harvest. So get the thing done. This has increased your firepower. We're able to start something very fresh right now. And if you use your head, ultimately from the heart, really, if you're thinking wisely from the heart, if you're thinking about things that bring value, North Node and Taurus, Uranus and Taurus to the world, Pluto and Capricorn, change the world for the better, because the change is constant and quick, and turmoil and rapid changes can happen. This is why we hear about people canning food in the Great Depression. It's like, that wasn't for fun. That wasn't a hobby. They were being wise and understanding that they needed food later because there was supply line shortages, right? So we need to be discerning, but we have the ability to plant the seed. Go out there and get it done with Topaz. You have the firepower. You can make it so. You just have to stay steadfast and loyal and aim in the right direction. Like I was saying, your aim is right, but your follow through might not be right. So make sure you're planting the seed and then covering it in soil and watering it. It's don't just throw it out there and be like, well, I really want a garden. And it's like, well, did you tend to the garden, or did you just hope for the best? And maybe at best you have an English like weed garden or whatever. So make it so. You got the power to start new things. Topaz is saying you got the firepower. Ultimately, love what you're doing. Venus and Pisces is like, be romantic about it. But Mars and conjunct Saturn and Aquarius is saying be kind of discerning about it too. Use your time wisely, use your energy and resources wisely, because you never know how things are going to go. Ultimately, do things out of kindness and love, just like helping that crane out. He could have just passed by the crane, he could have killed the crane, but he chose to help the crane, and that ultimately led towards prosperity and abundance because he showed loving kindness. So if you've enjoyed this, leave a tip or hit me up for a reading. $33 for an hour of cards, $88 for 3 hours of astrology, $111 for both. It's 5 stars only, so you're going to get a good deal there. And check out the Team Rabbit Hole podcast. We just had Michael, formerly known as Thomas Sakowitz. He's been on a few times on the podcast. We talked about music and avatars, reality tunnels, false realities, evolution, kind of all these things. It's the soil of the old being fecund and the birthing spot of the new. Just kind of how it works. Placenta is the mother's body and nutrients kind of dying into the baby's new life. So we are always in utero. We're always birthing new seeds, and ultimately we're the dream of God, right, or something like that. The divine manifests in the dream in a particular way. So love it, love life, even the hardships. Sing the blues, write a haiku or a poem that really expresses your sorrows and griefs. Don't just sit there smashing your face against the wall and hoping you want to annihilate yourself. Like, you can process heavy, hard, scary, bad feelings just as easily and effectively as good, joyful, zen, ecstatic feelings. They're all good. It's all flavors of the rainbow, Ben and Jerry style. So holler for readings, check out the podcast. And yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoy your Thursday, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Adios.